Nice to have with us on this afternoon program. Here's Peter Gammons, pal. What's an opening day without him, even if it isn't July 23rd? And he joins us here. Peter, let's start with the All-Star game, and then the opener is following the labor dispute in '81, where they went to Cleveland, and then they had a long layoff, and then they played. Somewhat similar to this scenario, obviously a lot less games, but it was a little weird. What do you remember about that we can think about as far as tonight and the rest of the year is concerned in 2020?
That Dave Stieb, a pitcher, made the last out of the game. It was a one-run game. Jim Fry had kept Fred Lynn out of the game so that he could use him in case he needed him in the ninth inning. Freddie didn't know it and got on a plane, went back to Boston, and so Jim Fry went to look for him to go up and hit with a couple of guys on in the ninth inning, and he wasn't there, so Dave Stieb had the bat. I remember that most.
And how about the opener right after that, Pete? I mean, was there a big hoopla about it when they resumed that season in early August, or no? Was it just sort of a continuation quickly of what happened there before the strike in June?
I think it was pretty much just okay. We're picking it up. There was a lot of confusion about first half, second half. You know, we're going to be a second half winner. Do you automatically make the playoffs? There was a lot still going on, so we were worrying about it. But it made for some. I think people were just so happy after the summer to have it back that it didn't really matter. Just as I'm going to be fascinated to see how people react. My guess is they're going to be really happy. I mean, so there isn't real crowd noise and all the rest. It's baseball, but even more important, I think it's really important for baseball to be able to get through all this, play a couple of months, and restore baseball onto the entertainment stage, because I think it really needs it, and I think baseball right now needs it. After the labor dispute, they really need to show, okay, these guys really want to play.
100%. I agree with that. And I think baseball, they're off to a good start. They've had an excellent couple of weeks. There's been no major issues. I mean, they got to get the Blue Jays a place to play, but, that's not the end of the world. They'll do that. I'm with you. This is a very important 3 or 4 month period for the sport, and so far, so good. Okay, now, how about what do you expect here? I mean, I like the same teams I liked on March 11th. I mean, it's not like I'm going to all of a sudden get off the Yankees and the Dodgers. I mean, they're the two best teams. I mean, we know the Reds and the White Sox. We know who the trendy teams are, but I still think at the end of the day, we're going to have the same group of teams in October playing in the postseason based on what we thought in March. Do you agree or disagree with that premise?
I completely agree. I mean, and it's not just, I feel like I'm jumping, what am I just jumping on an easy trailer going down the street by picking the Yankees and Dodgers. But in this kind of scenario, with all the possibilities of testing positive again, which might be a third of the season, needing 2 negative tests, or a lot of muscle pulls, that depth is going to be really important. They have the best depth in baseball, both of them. I mean, I actually feel stronger about the Dodgers now that because, I mean, Seager looks so great in spring training. He's 2 years past the Tommy John. Trinan and Gratterall are going to be huge pickups in their bullpen. Their young pitchers have developed, and of course now it's Mookie Betts there for my lifetime, and the Yankees, the depth of being able to get Clark Schmidt and Mike King to give them either long relief openers, maybe 4th, 5th starters, but that kind of pitching depth is really going to be important. And I think the playing depth, and the other thing is, and he deserves a lot of credit, I think one of the things that really struck me this spring is what incredible shape Giancarlo Stanton is. It's not weightlifting shape, with all the work he did in the training with it that they do, and also in Jupiter, Florida, and he looks like he's 18 years old again, and I think he's going to avoid the injuries and have a monster year. I think he's going to be the MVP.
Interesting. And that's an interesting thought about these awards. I mean, I know maybe it's a financial reason that the baseball writers have to give them out. Are you okay with 60-game MVPs and 60-game Cy Youngs and all those kinds of things, Rookie of the Years? Or would you rather them pass in this unique season? What's your take on that?
I don't like it. But I also think, there are probably going to be a lot of things like pinch runners in the 10th inning that I don't like. More important, it's the game. And the more normalcy we have in an absolutely abnormal period is probably really important for the game. I mean, 60-game MVP, I don't know. It's Willie McCovey all over again. But at the same time, it's
Right.
I think we have to try to hang on to as much as we can, but I agree with you. I don't like it. I don't think it's the same. If Garrett Cole wins the Cy Young, it's not the same as if he won it in the 162-game season. He, who really knows a lot about baseball, would be the first person to say that. But you know what? You win it, it's still nobody else did. And if you win the World Series, okay, it was 60 games plus however many in the postseason. But you know what? You finally won. And for the Dodgers, if they can win the World Series, they're not going to worry so much about, well, it wasn't the same as 1988. They won it. They don't have to talk about it next winter.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Without fans and 60 games, I don't know, like for the Indians, the Dodgers, teams like that, if this championship would end these streaks. I'm going to wait and see how I feel about that. But I will say this. I think it is very important for the sport. They got a break in 81 with the Yankees and the Dodgers. I feel the same way about the other two sports, too, that are restarting, the NBA especially. I think in these kind of seasons, I think it's important to have the established teams go far in the postseason, because if they are not the established team that does that, people are going to easily say, well, you know what, it's 162 games, the Arizona Diamondbacks wouldn't be in the playoffs. So I think from that standpoint, if it's if they didn't have a 5-month gap, the Oklahoma City Thunder would not have been in the NBA final. So I think from that standpoint, in these kind of years, it's more important that the team that you thought was good remain good and be there at the end. What's your take on that?
Oh, I agree. But I also think if taking local teams, if your teams that have been down, and that's, teams like Miami and San Diego and a couple of others that have struggled the last few years, if they can play well, and this is what Don Mattingly has been selling with the Marlins from the beginning, is, we go out, play 60 games, you have a much better chance of making progress in 60 games. The 162 games don't catch up to you quite the same way. You have a chance to, go 50, and a couple of you young players play well. And I'll tell you, they could be dangerous in a short season. And I'll tell you, Mel Stottlemyre Jr. has done an unbelievable job. They have great arms, but he has really made tremendous development strides for those pitchers. They're going to be a pain, but if they are exciting, now the Marlins fans finally have something, you know what? Okay, next year, maybe we'll buy some tickets. And I think it's really important. San Diego, I think it's a very important time to at least make a good run at making the playoffs. And I think they can, but it means a lot to the franchise, especially when you're in a really good division.
That's a fair point. You can look at it that way, too. Peter, well done. We talk continuously. Have a good opening day. Thanks very much. Appreciate it today.
You too. Thanks a lot, Doug.